Hey Connection Point Church, it's Pastor Malorri coming with your midweek video for July 22nd, 2020. And guess what, guys? 2020 is bringing us another challenge. Get excited. Before we get into that, I want to speak as a reminder that if you haven't been with us for the past 3 weeks, we've been in a series on Sunday mornings called Faithfulstress, and how appropriate it has been as we have faced stress upon stress this year. And recognizing that's part of life. It may feel like there's extra stress right now, but stress is part of life. And so dealing with that faithfully by God's grace, what does that look like? How do we do that? So we're going to be finishing out that series this week. I'm going to be preaching from Matthew chapter 26, verses 45 through 56. So take some time this week to read that passage, pray about it, ask the Lord what He's wanting to speak to you. Ask Him to prepare you for this Sunday's message, which is really about what's the next move when we are in stress. We definitely see Jesus make a next move in this passage, but several others do. Yet they all think they're making the next right move, but in reality, Jesus is the only one doing that. So how do we navigate figuring out what the next right move is? That's what we're going to be talking about that this Sunday. However, as mentioned before, there is an interesting wrinkle going on in our islands, brewing out in the ocean right now. We have Hurricane Douglas. If you haven't heard about that, I encourage you to be sure and check out some resources on that hurricane and how it's developing. Number one, church, that you would get ready, that you would check on your neighbors and those who are vulnerable that you're in contact with, and make sure that they have what they need, just in case. As we know, a lot of times the hurricanes, when they hit our mountains, they fall apart. But we do want to be prepared, and we want to be sure and extend compassion and love to those around us. So get ready for Hurricane Douglas. Shout out to Marty and Scott Douglas and Douglas Capagrossi in our congregation for having a hurricane named after you now. That's pretty awesome. But that's a stress that's coming, and so we get to very practically live out what we've been talking about in this series. So I want to remind us when we counter stress, because we do. We have been shown and demonstrated by Jesus in the height of stress that one of the best moves is get away, be with the Father. That doesn't mean get on a plane and run away to Jamaica, but that could mean that you take a moment, go into a closet, go into some sort of room, some sort of space where you can be still and be quiet with the Lord, and just get away, be with Him for even 1 minute. I encourage you to do more than that. You're going to want more than that. Get away with the Father. Our second week, we reminded you that not only do you need to get away with the Father, but ask others that you trust to pray for you as well about your stress. Not just who you can vent to, talk to, but who will pray for you and with you about your stress. Ask for help. We need that, church. Last week, Pastor Claudine shared the really important moment of Christ expressing submission to the Father's will in the height of His stress. And so communicate that in the midst of your stresses this week. If it's the hurricane, if it's other stuff, say, Lord, I want to do your will. I want to submit to your will in the midst of all these things. It's an important moment. And from there, church, let's stop and listen and ask, Lord, what's the next step? Listen well. He may give you something explicitly clear to do, which may shock you. Or He may be quiet, but He's given you a brain. He's given you logic, and you know how to use it. So you can go get some toilet paper, stock up on water, go get some gas, that sort of thing. But let's listen to the Lord and take the next right step this week in the midst of our stresses, faithfully trusting Jesus is with us, He is for us, and He can redeem even a misstep if we make a misstep. But praise God, He can keep us from those missteps too if we're listening. So excited to gather together. Provided on Sunday that we can. If things get real crazy, we will communicate via Facebook, the church website, and a church email if plans are changing. So keep you posted on that. But we love you all. Stay safe and get in contact with us if you're in need of help this week. We love you, church. Aloha.